Hey everyone, welcome to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com and welcome to part 2 of 10 tips to how to build a successful home studio business. If you have not seen part 1, click the link in the description box. It'll take you out to part 1 of this 3-part mini-series. This is part 2. Before we get to part 2, if you like what you see in this video, please hit that subscribe button. Also, head out to Facebook.com/HomeRecordingMadeEasy and follow me there, as there's always content there that is not always a part of YouTube. Also follow me on Twitter at HomeRecordingMadeEasy. And for more tips, tricks, concepts, and training around everything home recording, mixing, and mastering, please go out to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com. Check out the Made Easy series and the Quick Mix series, as well as the blog, as there is a ton of free content there to help you make better music in your home studio. So now let's get set for 10 tips to building a successful home studio business, part 2. Okay, tip number 4 is another real valuable tip, and I urge you to pay real close attention to this to help you stay out of financial debt, and that is resist gas or gear acquisition syndrome. This is something that all of us home studio owners, whether you're doing this as a full-time hobby, a full-time profession, or just a hobby, has fallen into from time to time. I am also guilty of this. I'm trying to help you to stay out of this mess. Resist the urge of continuing going out and buying new gear and new equipment. When you're first starting a business, you want to work within a budget. You want to make sure part of your plan, as we talked about in part 1, is to also have a little bit of a budget and know what you're going to spend money on to get yourself started, and try to resist staying out of buying the next latest and greatest piece of gear, or the next latest and greatest audio interface, or converters, or DAW, or microphones, or whatever else you need in your home studio. We all fall victim to this. The internet is so populated with all this great new technology and gear that comes out, it seems like every day, and it's so easy to just fall into the trap to keep buying stuff and buying stuff and buying stuff while you're trying to start your business before you're actually making any money back. You got to pay close attention to your plan and only buy exactly what you need. Don't buy any more that you need. Start slow. Do not get yourself into a huge financial debt while you're building your studio by continually buying gear. Again, this is something that we've all fallen into from one time or another, and I'm trying to help you here. So listen up and take notice. Take a look at what you have in your home studio as far as what you have and what you need, and the things that you need. Be very realistic about what you really need to buy, and only get the stuff that you absolutely need. Okay, most times a basic computer, a basic audio interface, and any DAW that you're using is sufficient enough to get yourself up and running, especially if you're just doing mixing and mastering. You don't need to have a million plugins. You don't need to have a whole rack of outboard gear, hardware. You don't need any of that stuff. As your business starts to grow and as you start to bring in money, then you can go ahead and reinvest that money back into your business to kind of upgrade things as you see fit. But in the beginning, please don't buy everything that you see online. Don't buy everything that you see on a YouTube video. Resist gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS, and you'll thank me later, as you won't start your new business in debt. So now let's head on over to tip number 5. Okay, tip number 5 is another tip that we kind of talked a little bit about in part 1, but I want to enhance on this a little bit more. Tip number 5 is to try to have multiple revenue streams. Now, part 1, I told you when you're starting your business, don't try to be everything to all people and have a million different services, because you'll never be able to effectively do everything. Find 1 or 2 things that you're really passionate about, that you're really good at, and start there. But once you start to grow your business and you kind of got things rolling, you always want to be constantly thinking about, even if you don't implement it right away, ways that you can make money among different revenue streams. And what do I mean by that? Well, in today's day and age, in the recording business, the business has changed a lot. Take myself, for example. I used to be strictly just a tracking studio, and then as the tracking studio business kind of dried up or got slower, I found myself doing a lot of mixing and mastering. And then with the advent of being online and having everyone out in the world thinking they're a mixing or a mastering engineer, that work starts to slow up from time to time. So I got myself into education. I also write music for television and film. I also do a bunch of private coaching and training. So I have 6 or 7 different ways that I make money in my home studio business. It's not just recording bands, it's not just mixing, it's not just mastering, it's not just teaching. Understand? So you want to always be thinking about, okay, I have a couple of things up and running and I'm getting some clients, I'm getting some revenue coming in. What else can I do inside of the music industry to make money? Because I can assure you that when one part of your one revenue stream is making lots of money, that will eventually have ups and down periods. With certain times during the year, it's going to be slower than others. When it gets slow, you want to have another revenue stream bringing in money as well. The more revenue streams you have, even if you're only making a small amount in each one of those revenue streams, cumulatively, it adds up to a much bigger pile of revenue. And the more revenue streams you have, if something completely dies off, or if technology changes, or if that part of your business goes away, you're not completely out of business. You still have other revenue streams that will be bringing in income to help support you and your family. So always be thinking about multiple revenue streams, but at first you want to start with one or two, as we discussed about in part one, but always be thinking about what is coming next. And even if it's just written down on a whiteboard or on a pad or on a piece of paper or just an idea log that you have, constantly be thinking about that. And as you get parts of your business under control and things are starting to work well, implement the next revenue stream. And if you do that over the course of several years, you also can have 6, 8, or 10 different revenue streams bringing money into your businesses, and that is going to help you be a successful business and sustain you for the long term. So now let's head on over to tip number 6. Okay, tip number 6 is another thing that I tell all newbies that want to be an entrepreneur and they want to get into the home studio business, or they want to get into any home business or any self-employment type of a situation, and that is, don't quit your day job just yet. I tell a lot of people, when you first jump into the music business or into the home studio business, regardless of how long you've been doing it as a hobby, it is very rare that you're going to just jump in with 2 feet, go full time, quit your day job, and all of a sudden make a pile of money. I'm here to tell you that's not how it works. It usually takes time. It's a slow build to success, as we've been talking about throughout this series. So if you have a day job and you have a job that helps bring in income to support you and your family, keep that job as long as you can and do your business on the side. You can do a full legitimate business as part-time. It doesn't have to be a hobby. You can still register your business with your state or with your country. You can still get all the pieces in place and get all your ducks in a row and work that business part-time. Only when you're able to actually bring in enough revenue where you can place your full-time job do you go out and quit that job. A lot of people make the mistake is they get real excited, they get real motivated, and they just say, I can do this, I'm just going to work really hard, and all of a sudden the money's going to come rolling in. It doesn't work that way. Trust me. It took me almost 5 years of doing my business part-time until I was able to go full-time. Okay, so when you go full-time and you don't have that guaranteed check coming in from your employer anymore, there's a whole nother level of pressure. You also then don't have the revenue coming in to where you can invest it back in your business to make your business grow, because now you need that revenue to help support you and your family. So by keeping your day job, if you have one, for as long as possible and doing your business on the side, helps you in a couple of ways. One, you really don't need to make any money right away if it's just a part-time business. Any money that you do make, you can either reinvest into your business or you can do something else with, but you don't have the pressure of having to make money. That's the first thing. The second thing is that now if you're doing it part-time and you don't need to make money, you have the ability to be very selective about the type of work that you do and the type of clients that you want to work with. When you're doing this full-time, a lot of times in the early stages, you got to do anything that people are willing to pay you for. You have to record bands and artists that you may not be thrilled with, or not really good bands and artists. You may have to take all kinds of work that you really don't want to do just to make money. But if you're doing this part-time on the side, you don't need to do that. You can be very selective and very strategic on how you build your reputation as a business, which is super important. And we'll talk about that in other videos. But you want to make sure that you keep your day job as long as possible. Don't make the mistake of jumping out into the deep end of the pool and thinking that this thing is just going to take off. There is that exception to the rule that it may just skyrocket for you, but I'm here to tell you, as someone who's been doing this now nearly 15 years, it's only been over the last 5 years that I've been able to do this full time. 10 years nearly it took me as a part-time hobby moving into a part-time business before I can go full-time. And again, during that time, I was building those multiple revenue streams. So when I did go full-time, I was able to completely replace my full-time income. So don't quit your day job. We love day jobs, is what I always tell my new business owners for now, until you're really able to make that jump. And I would wait until you have a couple of solid years of proven income and success and growth potential before you make that jump. So keep your day job You'll thank me later. It'll take a lot of financial stress off of you and your family if you listen to this tip. Okay, that's it for part 2 of our 3-part series, 10 tips to how to build a successful home studio business. Be on the lookout for part 3. And again, if you didn't see part 1, click the link in the description box below. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Please follow me out on Facebook and Twitter. And always check homerecordingmadeeasy.com for all your training needs for recording, mixing, and mastering. Until the next 10 tips video on how to build a successful studio business, this has been David Vignola with homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care.